Hello and welcome, gentle listener, to another episode of Hex Radio, the only radio show that's 100% guaranteed to send ghosts straight through the airwaves and into your home. Don't look behind you. They're trying to plan a surprise for you. You don't want to make them sad by peeking. I'm your otherworldly hostess, Echo, the Hex Maniac who puts the hex in Hex Radio. I also put the hex in and on a lot of other things, including people who don't use turn signals. They're on your car for a reason, people. Please use them so other people know what you're doing in your giant metal death machine. It's only common sense. Use your blinkers, or I'll curse you with such atrocious clumsiness you won't be able to eat with a fork without stabbing yourself in the eye. Sorry about that. When you're a pedestrian, you get a bit passionate about these things. This episode is brought to you in part by the Commission for Safe Driving. But not really. Thank you. I've been meaning to talk about this for a bit now, but since it's been requested, it's been moved to the top of my priority list. When you're performing magic, it's inevitable that you'll find yourself dealing with entities. Depending on your particular brand of magic, the entities you deal with, encounter, or even work with will be entirely different. A Christian witch, which I still protest is a bit of a contradiction, will most likely work with angels, possibly even the Fae. They will not, for example, call on pagan gods, in part because part of being Christian is the belief set that you shouldn't worship or even believe in other gods. You also aren't supposed to perform magic because God says not to, but again, I'm not going to touch on that subject. It doesn't really matter anyway. Magic is a beautiful thing and is only as evil as the person using it. But I digress. A pagan witch, such as myself, might have a patron or even a matron god, or they might even worship a whole pantheon. You might even find yourself in the same unique position I'm in, where both Set, the Egyptian god of chaos and storms, and Freya, the Norse goddess of love and war, both show a marked interest in you. And then there are the Wiccans, who have their own unique god and goddess, and tend to call on elemental spirits. You can be a witch without contacting gods, spirits, fairies, or angels, but there's still a strong chance you'll run into at least one of them at some point or another. Since the gods don't often seek out those who deny they exist, let's discuss the others. First and foremost, there are the spirits. They can be the remains of a once living creature, or they can be the essence of an idea or even a location. If anyone has seen Spirited Away, a movie I can't recommend highly enough, then you might be familiar with the idea of river spirits. Trees on their own will each have their own individual spirit, seen and interpreted differently depending on your belief. You might, for example, perceive them more like nymphs than someone else might. But a forest is an entity entirely of its own, and so has its own spirit ruling over it. In magic, it is generally recommended that you take the time to greet and ask permission of any spirits in the area. For example, if you need a branch for a spell, you ask permission to take one. You might just find a limb easily snaps off, in part because the tree is willingly giving it to you. Spirits are often easy enough to appease and work with. Keep things clean, pick up trash, be respectful, and if you can, leave offerings of fresh water, bread, and fruit. In this way, you might just find yourself with a powerful ally and a lasting, friendly relationship. Fairies, on the other hand, are tricky. They accept offerings as well, generally bread, milk, and honey, but you must be careful to never thank them for their help. Thanking a fairy implies they were doing you a service, and the Fae don't like feeling like servants. If the Fae do you a favor, then it is a favor, done because you are friends, not because they owe you anything. Just like your offerings are just friendly snacks. Even then, the Fae are difficult to work with. They might be more interested in pranking you than helping you. To gain favor and avoid their ire, you need to be respectful, have a sense of humor, be friendly, keep a clean house, not litter, and leave offerings. Brownies, in particular, require a clean house. My house actually has brownies living in it, and if Orion and I lapse in cleaning, then they give us a very hard time. Suddenly, the oven will turn off on its own. Things we are looking for will go missing. Socks will mysteriously become parted from their mates. The cats will be up all night chasing something. If you keep them happy, they tend to help you around the house, help you find things, and even keep your pets entertained. Don't ever thank them, however. They will leave you forever, and that isn't fair to them, since they live in your home and you're essentially kicking them out. The last category I'll cover tonight are demons. Unlike angels, who are pretty much reserved for working with believers, demons don't care. They exist outside of Christianity, and they will cause as much mayhem and destruction as they can. Despite this, encountering them is more rare than you might think. Despite what they tell you about Ouija boards, not every spirit claiming to be Mama or Zozo is actually one of those demons. Spirits, after all, can lie, and they like to mess with people. Preventative measures are much safer than trying to deal with a demon after it's become a problem. Exorcisms mostly piss them off and make them angry. So instead, setting up proper circles, spells, and barriers beforehand is always the best course of action when dealing with these entities. If you have any other questions on specifics or just questions in general, please direct them to your local tree spirit. They'll pass on the message for you. Just don't talk to the oaks. They won't talk to me. Ever since I was a small child, they only ever hurled acorns at me. I have no idea why. I've only ever been friendly, but some trees are peculiar. Now, for those of you still listening, it's time for our weekly spell. The one spirit I didn't touch on were familiar spirits, and that's because they come in many shapes and forms, including a pair of black, shapeless voids with cat eyes. For this spell, I'll be casting one on you to open your eyes to the world of spirits and to help you find your own familiar. Familiars are very helpful to spell work and for maintaining a good rapport with other entities, as they can pass on messages for you. Before I begin the spell, I need you to close your eyes, if you can, and try to relax. It is much easier to cast a spell on someone who is open-minded and receptive. Breathe in slowly through your nose and hold it. This helps your heart rate slow and calm you down. I'm going to count to 4 now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let your breath out. Feel that stress go with it. Feel your blood pressure lower. Feel yourself calm. Again, breathe in and hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and out again. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, and out. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, and out. Try to keep up that rhythm of breathing. Focus on the feeling. Tune out everything else around you. Focus only on your breath. Not even the sound of my voice should distract you. The shadows shift and stir. In the darkness, there are 3 sets of eyes, glowing green, and yet 6 eyes altogether. 2 small shadows break away, leaving behind a larger one. 4 eyes and teeth like a crocodile, stretching into a wide grin. They see you for what you are, inside and out. 3 creatures reading the very depths of your soul, judging you, finding you lacking, missing something. There is a chill to the air as they retreat, leaving you behind, to go search out your missing piece, the part of your soul you still need, your familiar. One last breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then out. Open your eyes. Sometime soon, within the next 4 weeks, you'll find your familiar. You'll know them when you see them. Like they are a puzzle piece, fitting perfectly into your life. If you like what I do here and you want to support me, please consider donating. Just get a nice tiramisu and leave a piece as an offering on your local shrine's altar. Don't worry, I'll get it. I also take commissions for customized spells. Thank you for your patience, gentle listener, and forgiveness for being late this week. Life has been complicated. Hopefully, things will settle down soon. Please stay tuned for an episode of Creepy Stories. Fortunately, this one will be on time. I hope you have a wonderful night. Happy hauntings.